like sing some songs. I don't know. Yeah. So what did you tell him? How are we going to do this? Is there questions? What you organized? So what did you tell him was going to happen? Because
I only came here to listen.
Oh, okay. Well,
however you wanted to do it, you can.
Well, did you say about I don't need to translate or anything?
Yeah, they don't.
My Spanish is I'm terrible. I know some foods. That's it. But no, I mean, are there questions? How should we do it? Is anyone? I mean, my man brought the amp, so you should come and play a song. You know, please. Yeah, I mean that's for me. Like that's always how these. You see a room of people. You probably play guitar. All play guitar in some way, but guitar is a universe. There's so many different kinds of music you play with it, and so many different, even within the so-called realm of jazz music, so many different things. I don't know if people want to hear about strings or picks or scales or songs or, you know, what's the fourth chord of the bridge on, you know, Lush Life or something. You know, all questions are good, but I figure like, you know, if you're a student of music, and I consider myself a student, everyone who's serious about it knows you're never going to not be a student of music. The whole thing is to have questions about what do I want to sound like, and have the ears, develop your ears. Uh-oh. Thank you, sir. Okay, now I'm really going to start talking fast. No, we all work on our ears, and I think the main thing about working on our ears is to be able to hear ourselves, to hear what we really sound like. And we have this thing of what we'd like to sound like, and we have to say, what do I actually sound like? You know, because I think that's the thing. If you're a musician, forget about guitar player. If you're just a musician, we're training our ears. We want to be like, have Spider-Man powers with our ears, if that's even possible. That's fantasy, of course, but we can learn to hear more than we were born hearing, and it's all about increasing the kinds of sounds we put in our ear and the ability to digest and understand what they are and how to apply them and stuff like that. So, but that's what it is. You have to work on your ears every day, and that's all it is. You've got to hear more details, more nuance, more everything, rhythm, all of the things that make up music, sound. We want to work on our ears. You know, that's all it is. You had a question, sir? You're right.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure. Sorry.
You have to write it. None of this will be on the test, by the way, so you don't have to write anything down.
No. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming and doing this for us. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I've been thinking. You said not
Good.
only guitaristic thing.
He's been thinking. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, about your right hand, how you work on it. That's something I've been thinking about these days, and about what you said, how you link it to your ears, because there's a physical part on playing guitar. I think that it's conscious.
Yeah, this is a machine. Yeah, we have to learn to operate the machine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How's your warm-up routine, or if you have one, or kind of on you, especially your right hand, because I feel it's really precise and sensitive, and I love it.
Rarely, but that's what I'm going for is precision and yeah, sensitive. Well, right hand. I mean, I don't really think about it, and I kind of feel like you know, it's almost like I think my technique with both hands, and most importantly how they come together, is pretty you know, academic. Like I can play it, I can get by on certain things, but in terms of real technique compared to like how fast I hear people play, like I'm just like, I have a different kind of, like I'm in a lawnmower, and it's not as opposed to a sports car. It's not like a Ferrari, but you know, I can go around. I can go about as fast as a lawnmower, or maybe like, you know, one of those fast bikes or something like that. But it's a different thing. I have to pedal, so I feel like that's a different. But I just kind of feel, well, what are the trips that I can make? Obviously, I can't, you know, go drive, you know, whatever, 700 kilometers an hour in the vehicle that I'm in. So, but what I'm trying to do is give a smooth ride, but most importantly, just enjoy the view. You know, look, just like that's the important thing for me. So, But with that, right hand specifically, I don't have any way that I, recommend anyone to play. But I am trying to be conscious of the right hand, and someone asked me once in a lesson, do you have any technique exercises? And I came up with this one because I had been thinking about it, and it's just like, it's very kind of not that serious, not that demanding. It's take your favorite scale, so it's all right, like I'm not big, I mean, you have to learn your scales and everything, but take your favorite scale. It could be just your favorite scale of the day or anything. The point is not the scale. The point is not how fast you do it. The point is not how many octaves. It could be in one octave. It could be all the octaves. The technique exercise was play the scale and alternate loud and soft. So that just forces you to think, well, how loud is loud? What's the difference between loud and soft? But you just take, say, I'll play, D minor scale, melodic minor scale, just to have something, some notes to play. Because it's not even about the notes. It's just about. Okay, that's not so hard. But then say, okay, I'm going to do 2 loud, 3 soft, And it's I mean, someone would listen to you play and they said, he's not working on his technique at all. Because it's not like it's not the technique of doing something that sounds like you have technique. It's not an impressive kind of thing. It's not for Instagram. It's, you know what I mean? It's not like, whoa. It's not for that. It's just to get you thinking about sending a message from your brain to your hand, and your right hand in this case, although your left hand feels something different when it's being struck hard or less hard, or I should say soft or less soft, because you never want to hit the guitar hard. That's just, but that's, what is loud? What is soft? That's too, so, and you do it, coming back, you do it, the point is to switch it up so that your brain is making a new rules, 3 soft, 4 loud, just so you have to remember. And now playing the scale has to be second nature. If you're looking for the notes, now you're not thinking about dynamics. But my theory is that that's technique because that's technique you use every day. Whereas fast technique, which is great, and you learn something fast, you have to execute it, start slow and get faster, that's all necessary. But so much of technique is just like, how do you attack the notes that you're playing? And that happens every time you play, whether you're playing something slow or fast. And you do this as slow as you need to do it so that you're actually doing this exercise. And it's not technical, but it actually is technique because it's making you be sensitive to how loud you're hitting the string. And dynamics is something that you use every phrase you play, every chord. How hard are you hitting the instrument? So that's it. The more I play with different musicians on all the instruments, it's like, what's the difference? It's touch. It's how they touch the instrument. So if we don't think about that and we're just thinking about like, can I do this thing with the sweep picking and this, like that's cool too. But we also have to spend time thinking about how we play the instrument. And so to me, working on melodies is the best thing because you're taking the pressure off yourself to think of something brilliant to play. You just don't think of any words. You're not freestyling. You're just reciting this beautiful poem and getting inside the sound of the words. And while you do it straight and you recite a great poem or you play a great melody, you are subconsciously understanding how to build a phrase, how to tell a story. Because what's the difference between a melody and just like somebody playing scale patterns, Well, scale patterns sound like scale patterns and melodies sound like a melody, but that's subjective, really. So anyway, I just think we have to spend some time practicing melodies and slow melodies, like just songs that we can, work on this thing, work on dynamics, work on how to play, how to say something, how to talk, because that's what a poem might teach us. We don't want to go around always sounding like we're reciting poetry. People would be like, okay, cut it with the poet. You don't have to rhyme everything, bro. It's like, So, but that's like the same thing with music. But, it's a language, and there's cadence, there's syntax, and then there's this overall flow to how we play and speak is the same to me.
Thank you.
Oh no, that's a lot of words. Before coffee, maybe I shouldn't drink. So that's what happens if you ask a question. So maybe somebody wants to play, or what do you think? Yeah, you're here. Guitar's out. Let's go. Woo. know you. You can have that one, man. I just took one sip. My second, Okay. Yeah. You play it with the intro thing, or you just want to go right on it? Yeah? Okay, are we in tune? Let's see. He's a brave man, he has no tuner. That's great, man. My guitar was all messed up because we did a rehearsal and the pianos are sharp. So I'm like, right? Piano's a little sharp here? Yeah, like in Europe, could be. So, trying to adjust. Yeah. Okay. Face. That's why I hate these microphones, because I make terrible sounds when I play, so that's, yeah. You want to play the melody, or you want to do it? Do I have to take,
Yeah, I'll take the melody.
you take the melody? All right, I got it. I got you. Intro?
What sort of thing were you practicing maybe 20 years ago?
20 years ago.
Yes. What was your practice?
I was 30.
How did you do it?
30. No, please hang up here, man.
Maybe
Play another one, or there's more people who want to play.
Then many musicians.
Okay, cool. 20 years, what was I practicing? I was trying to learn songs, trying to practice blues in F and B flat and all the keys, and much like I'm doing now. I mean, trying to listen to music, take things off records, even just little bits, things, and I don't know. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, I was doing the same kind of thing. I had a good teacher. I had many good teachers, but I had a specific teacher, Ted Dunbar, who said, learn music, learn songs. Like, don't just learn theory. Learn a song and let the song teach you about music, because the theory comes kind of after what's been created by people to make rules about it and stuff like that. And then all these songs adhere to certain rules, and then they break other rules. So that's the thing, is to get, see how theory is applied to music. So it's not about learning songs so that 2,000 songs or 200 songs. It's just about learning a song, not so you can just put what you know over the song when you improvise on it, but let the song teach you something about, about music. What is it? What's the point of the song? Every great song is like about an idea, so how does it take that idea? How does it leave that idea and start a new idea and come back to, like, this? It's construction, It's like learning how to speak as opposed to learning just some words from a book and how to pronounce them, the flow. So that's what that was great advice. Among many other great advices he gave us, all of his students, but that was the big thing. Learn music, and figure out what it has to teach you about music. That's the thing too. What does it show you about how music works?
Was there a process, for selecting songs to learn, or were you just listening to?
Well, a lot of it is like what I heard people playing, like when I would go to jam sessions, when I was young, and just hear what people do. That's how I knew specifically what to practice in terms of songs. But also from the records that you learn the songs from the records, and now we have incredible tools to learn the original versions of things, and there's the clip from the movie where the song is, like it's so, we didn't have access to that. We just kind of we could find a lead sheet and we could compare it with recordings, but it's easy to learn thoroughly, but the problem is there's so much information. It's like, what do you learn? So that's the thing to any musician I would tell my 20-year-old self was 20, well, I was a lot, 20 is 17 years before 20 years ago, but as a young musician, I would just like go slow and learn something thoroughly. Don't just kind of, the worst thing is when I hear someone say, well, I got to practice 10 minutes of scales, 10 minutes of arpeggios, and it's like, it's not the gym, it's not like doing reps, it's kind of just like, there's some of that, and the same teacher, Ted Dunbar, was very adamant about learning the scales so that we learned the fingerboard. That's how you know what notes you're playing, So, but that's it. There's scales, and then there's, the notes in between the notes in the scale, and they're real too, So it's like learning, again, it comes back to your ear. So that's the thing.
Yeah. Sorry, my English is, but you hear too much music in your career. You play with some musicians, and ¿sabes bien inglés? ¿Sabes bien inglés?
You're doing great. I've heard many musicians.
Which is you listen when you have 20, and now you hear the same records on albums, and
you hear different.
Yes. What and what do you como que ahí me puedo hacer el traductor, por favor. Sí. Como ¿qué escucha, o sea, qué siente él de diferencia entre escuchar un disco cuando era joven y recién empezaba y escuchar el mismo disco ahora? ¿Y qué podría decir acerca de eso? Como qué escucha diferente y de qué, cuál es la diferencia para él más grande en la experiencia que tiene tocando con gente que toca increíble entre escuchar un disco antes y escuchar ahora, y cuál cree que es la diferencia de eso? Si podría como hablar de eso.
Yeah, he is trying to ask you about, hearing the same records.
Yeah. What do you
started
hear differently?
Yeah, after all the experience that you got all over your career.
Well, I'll tell you, your ears change. Over if you feed them, and do exercises with them, they get strong. The muscles build, and you hear more things.
Okay.
Just learning about form makes it different. Like hearing the forms. A lot of times when you start listening to jazz, you're lost. You don't know where they are in the song, and that's okay. And I still enjoyed it. It was, there's something about that which is great too, because you're hearing, just this. It's a different thing. It's not as. And now if I hear someone play a song that's an original song, I don't know. I hear it in that way. Like I don't know the form. Whereas if I heard someone play On a Misty Night, I'm following along. I know the song. So, just there's that difference. But your ears change because like when you went to school and when you were in 3rd grade, when you were maybe 8 years old. If you go back there as an adult, everything looks very small, So it's the same kind of sensation with your ears. You go back and hear a record that you heard when you were just getting into jazz, and you hear it differently. Your perspective changes, because you grow. And you're like, that was my chair. It's tiny. But when you're little, it's the right size, and then nothing is too small then, So it's just. But you have to work on your ears. That's the only thing. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about how you train your ear?
I think it's by listening every day and trying to unravel the mystery of what makes up that sound. But there is an exercise you can play do with another. Actually, it's great with another guitar. It's the perfect thing. I don't know if anyone's brave wants to do it, but I'll just tell you how it goes. You have 2 guitars, and you can't look at each other because if you're using your eyes, that doesn't work. But someone will play. I say, I'll play a G, right? Or I say to the person that's being tested, you play a G, and then I'm going to play a chord, and you tell me what chord I'm playing. So you can do it. You don't need an instrument really, But so that's how it works. If you play a G, and now I play a chord that actually is someone might play on the guitar, like with that G on top. So I'll play this. So you're playing a G. And the idea is that from the note that you're playing, which you know is a G, you hear the rest of it. It's almost like, you know, you open this door, which you know is a door into a room. You open the door, you see what's in the room. Because we can see, you know, and we trust what our senses are to tell us what's in the room. A chair, a lamp, you know. Whatever it is, we try to explain it with our mind. You know, God forbid there's like a, you know, I don't know, a rat in a room. Like, oh shit, you know, there's a rat. You know, how did it get here? First, you know, what's going? Are there more rats? You know, but you respond, but you believe your eyes. Then you have to figure out what to do. But you believe your eyes. You don't just say that can't be a rat. You know, so the point is to get the same thing with your ear. If you hear this chord, I'm trying to hide it from the people over there, but you can see. So what is the sound that you're making, knowing that you're playing the G? And you open the door to the room, what do you see? What do you hear? What is the sound? And if you play this chord, D minor 11, I'm giving away the answer, you should be able to hear the rest of D minor 9th underneath the note you're playing. Because when we play, that's how we use our ears. When we're playing this tune, we come to a part, turn around, okay, I might guess one thing, you might play over another thing, and I totally guessed wrong, which means like, it's almost like a penalty shot where the guy just has to decide, it's going this way. So I'm leaning that way, but the guy shoots, okay, you know,
Yeah.
It's it. But sometimes you guess right and you actually block it. Or the guy messes up and he kicks the ball somewhere else. But the point is, it's not like that at all because I'm not trying to stop you from, I want you to score. I want to play the right chord underneath you. So I'm guessing, but my part is going this way, I'm going to follow through with my, but the point is like, we're hearing what each other is doing, and we can sometimes adapt. Sometimes it's just a miss, but the game, the clock keeps going. The game keeps moving. But the point is, I want to hear, because I'm hearing in the key of E flat, everything, the perspective of E flat tonality, and there's a turnaround, and if I hear you play something that's like, right, that would be that, but I went a different direction, okay, it's okay. We're all moving towards the same spot, and sometimes the little mistakes can be interesting and can be fun. But the point is you have to be aware. You have to be, when you're playing, you don't want to be like, I'm playing this, and that's what I'm doing, you know, because this is what I'm focusing on, and we're going to get to the end of the song together. The point is learning how to play and listen at the same time, and to me, a big part of that is playing a note. I'm pushing a button, the G button. I don't need to have perfect pitch. I just need to hear what this sound is on top of. If I can hear that, I can hear everything else that's going on, then I can engage in the conversation about playing music. And, you know, he made this choice, I made this choice, but you're aware of what's going on. You hear the difference between this, and if I play this, it's similar, but there's a different quality because the 6/9 is different than the minor 9th or minor 11th, right? These are just sounds. These are sounds that we might play this chord, so we have to be able to hear it when we're playing part of it and someone else is playing the rest, or hear what a piano player is playing. And that's different because hearing piano voicings, you have to get used to those. You have to play with piano players, and you know. So, but the point is, we play guitar. If we play this chord, we have to be able to hear what it is we're doing. Otherwise, we're kind of pushing buttons on some level and not really hearing. You know, we're opening doors, but we're not really looking around. We can't really see what's inside them because it's dark. Turn the light on. That's when you see the rat or whatever's in there. You know, you can't open the door and know what's in the room if there's no light. So we have to hear. So the thing that's funny is some people will get frustrated. They start thinking. They don't trust their ears because they're not learning how to trust their ears. So they panic and they start, well, it must be this. You know, you're probably playing me some slick jazz chord, so maybe it's this. You know, start thinking. You're thinking. It's like the same thing as opening it, looking at a room and thinking about what's in it. You don't think about it. You see. Then you think. Then you make sense of, oh, what a nice room, or this is the wrong room, you know, or this is whatever. But you see what it is. The thing is, if I tell someone to play this note, and then I play this chord, not so out of tune, but if I play this chord, everybody knows that. Why? Because of
Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. We call it the Jimi Hendrix chord. Guitar players call it Jimi Hendrix chord. You know, piano players don't call it Jimi Hendrix. They call it something else. But it's the same sound. And the reason we know this sound is because when we were learning music or learning guitar, we were playing these chords, right? And then this. That's pretty cool. And then you learn all that. Yeah, it's getting fancy. But then you learn this chord. And you're like, holy shit. Because the guitar vibrates differently and you've never made a sound like this before. Just by yourself on the guitar. And it's one of the top 5 coolest things that ever happened to you at that moment. And you play it, most importantly, you play it 1,000 fucking times. 1,000 times the first week. 2,000 times because you start fucking around with it and you play it 3,000 times in a matter of weeks. And that's why that sound goes into your body. But when you're learning jazz and you're like, oh shit, this is complicated, this is hard music, you learn a chord like this and you're not taking the time to, you know, to let that in. So it's a sensual experience. Like, it's like a smell. Oh, I know that chord. If I play this note and someone plays this, I smell the chord. Just like, that's a familiar smell, right? We know this smell. It's your grandmother's, whatever, you know, it's like, goes back to your child. So if we don't learn this chord in childhood, you know, we're still young enough and we're devoted to, we spend time playing music, but are we spending time getting the sounds into our ears, like really getting the sound so I can, it's a sensation, you know. I'll call it, someone might call it, oh, it's just someone might say, that's F major 7 over D. Some weird way to call it, like why would you call it that? But okay, whatever, F major 9 over D or something. But really, it doesn't matter what you call it, Jimi Hendrix chord, E7, sharp 9. It's the same, you know. Yeah, your grandma calls the recipe this, my grandma calls it this, but it's actually the same soup, you know. Just have a different name for it. But the thing is, we're smelling what's in it. We're smelling we sense the music. So if we don't, that's the thing about jazz. You start thinking, because everyone says it's difficult and it's complicated, so you better think about it. Yeah, you have to think about what to call things, but you still have to, you know. So that's the thing about what was the question? That's the thing about ears, but
Yeah, how do you train your ear?
yeah.
I was curious.
That's a great one, is to go with someone and you guys know the chords you play and just play voicings and just say you play the top note, you know, and I'm gonna play this chord. You want to be able to know what that sound is. Okay, well I know it's you can break it down, and that's the thing, that's how you train. And you break it down. First I hear, okay, sound of it, whatever. That's the sound. So like I hear this sus sound, but then what note, you know, you can break it, you can go from the bottom up, you can go from the top down. And people start playing the note and they look up and like, it's not up there. The answer's not up there. The answer is here. If you start playing, you can train your ear to center in on the tonic. You start to hear right away, what is the note from the tonic? Okay? What is the rest of the chord? That's not the same as if I played, oh, sorry. Then I'm changing the inside, you know, but then it's the quality of the chord. What note am I on? You can have your own methods to do it, you know. How does the goalkeeper like try to learn how to stop a penalty kick? Like, what's their technique? Well, you have to commit, but I'm trying to look at the guy and see if he, you know, scratches his head with his left, you know, maybe that means he likes to go to the left. So, you know, like, what are your tricks for trying to figure out, knowing that a lot of times you're just going to fail? And that's like music too. It's just like whatever you train your ears to do, whatever you try to learn how to play, you have to accept there's going to be failure, because it's a very difficult thing to do. String together a bunch of ideas that make sense in time, you know, like, it's very difficult. And then just doing it right isn't the thing. Sports is simple. Either it's a goal or it's not. You know, with music, someone can say, well, you didn't let up the goal, but I don't like your style, you know, I don't like the way you did it, you know, I don't like the, so with music it's different, it's not sports, but there is like things we can train and just learning and learning to accept that sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it to go, but to keep in the flow of the game. That's what's important. The team is important, you know, not my shit, you know, it's the team. What do we sound like? So I think to be able to, like I said, engage in the conversation of playing music, you have to really work on your ears. Like you have to, that's the thing. 'Cause you have to play and listen at the same time. That's hard, yeah.
How is your process to compose, or what you think, or what you do when you compose a new tune or something?
I love to play piano. I play piano first before, so I'll just sit around and make up little chords and stuff and try to just play the sound, because I get tired of just the chords you can play on the guitar. There's limitation there. And piano is, you can do big voicings, you can do, so I just sit at the piano to, you know, hear other things, and sometimes, you know, I find a little something and that's it. I try to just like look at it like I find something that's like a comedian. Maybe you think of something funny, then you say, I need to make some jokes around this topic. Can I take this one, or maybe you just do one-liners or something like that. But it's just like, can I make a little story around this? Can I make a little, where does it want to go? I might play around with it, leave it alone for a few hours, come back to it, maybe the next day, like what sticks, what do I remember about this? Could be just a couple of chords. Sometimes I compose on the guitar, like find a little melody or something, but I always go back to the piano and back and forth, yeah. But composing is, I think it's important for anyone who wants to improvise, anyone who takes a solo, it's important to compose, like just to try, if it's anything, if it's like I'm gonna write a blues head, or I'm gonna write a melody on some, whatever it is. I'm gonna write a free tune where it's just a little melody, and then, you know, whatever the process is, you know, it's important to just take the idea of putting musical ideas in order and taking your time to do it, to make it, we don't need that, let's keep that, but then it could go here. And then meanwhile, it's taking you a day or 3 days or a month. Sure. When you take a solo, you got about, well, maybe a minute. You got a minute is a long solo. I mean, come on, we're talking about the Instagram world. In the future, jazz is just going to be 45 seconds. You know what I mean? That's
Yes.
all you have. But we're talking about trying to, you know, it's a very ambitious thing to say, I'm going to take a minute of your time or a minute and a half of your time and take a solo. That can't just be me demonstrating like stuff I can do on the guitar, or, you know, people try to play, they're like, you try to sell me a guitar, show me what it can do. You know, I already have one, you know, like I have fun with it too, but they're like, sometimes it's just like a demonstration, as opposed to, I think, improvising, because a demonstration is always the same. You do the demonstration for one person, the next group of people come in and you demonstrate whatever it is, you know. It's like, it's not just a demonstration. It should be, if I'm going to listen to you take a solo, I want to hear you make up something on the spot. I want to hear you make up. Now, we're not starting from nothing and making up new notes and a whole new style every time. That's not really realistic. But you can improvise in that you can start with an idea and say, where should it go after this? You know, if we're playing that song, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's connection thing, that's a lick, kind of. But it's also a thing to get me to this harmonic thing to get here. But if I, what I do, like I want to keep that idea as until my own inner editor says, okay, that's enough, get off of that shit. You know, that's it. Try something else. You know, but when I'm practicing, I need to try to take ideas as far as I can take them, and be committed to it, not so that I have something else to play when I demonstrate that I can play, but that I've practiced taking an idea and trying to say what comes after that phrase. Not just more notes, because once you learn how to play changes, you just play the notes from the next scale or the next arpeggio. Then I'd have to say, are you playing the tune, or is the tune playing you? Are you making a decision about what to play next, or is it only based on what the chord changes are doing? Therefore, that's what I'm going to play. I mean, you know, whatever. On some level, yes, what you're playing has to do with what the chord changes are. But are you improvising, or are you playing, demonstrating what you play over the course? Demonstrating that you know the arpeggio to this chord. So it's an idea. If I play, can I make that into another thing, you know? Now, I'm not, you know, really, I'm playing whatever. It sounds like my same old dumb shit, but I'm, in my brain, I'm trying to follow the idea. So I'm not really trying to be like, in this next solo, I will attempt to draw an inspiration from the, I'm just trying to play. I'm just trying to, like, you know, connect two ideas together, and then another one, and then another one, until it feels like this should probably be the, I'm not gonna take another chorus after this, so now I need to wrap up my statement, you know? What's happening? After my solo, I figured he was gonna trade, so do I come down? Do I go up? Both can work. It's just about making someone, making the people who are listening to you believe that you believe in what you're playing, and you believe it's the, you know, maybe not the best choice, but that's what you did, and you have to put the courage of your conviction behind what you play. Now, wanting to play it strong and with clarity makes us also have, okay, I gotta have some shit under my fingers. I gotta be able to, like, here's the turnaround, and I gotta say, whatever, okay. But does that become the same thing? So if you learn something like that, then you have to say, you have to make things around that that aren't exactly that, but aren't something totally different. It's all the same idea. So I have to catch myself when I fingers start doing things before I've told them what to do. That's when it's backwards, you know. So you have to just slow down enough to get your brain in front of what you're playing. Now, whatever. That's what I, you know, that's how I want to play. But somebody will say, oh, that's not fast enough. So, but that's what they want, you know. Like, that's okay too. Like, it takes all kinds. I'm just really trying to hold myself to, am I letting my fingers go, or am I trying to create something, and let me see where this takes me. Like, that's the fun of it for me. Not you know, being able to play the same shit all the time. Although I end up playing a lot of the same shit all the time, like everybody does. I'm just trying to, on some level, create a little story. That's what you do when you take a solo. That's what I want someone to feel that I've given them, you know. And most importantly, you're listening to the band. You're trying to play the rhythm. You're trying to play the harmony. You're trying to, you know, every situation is different. You know?
About that awareness while you play it.
Awareness.
Yeah. Do you think you switch between different types of thinking, like listening to the band, or thinking of the melody, of the chord changes, or?
I don't know. I'm trying to, you know, do I hear every note that everybody plays? I mean, I'm trying to. If it's just a duo, it's less to be concentrated. Like sometimes I'll listen to the bass, and then I'll listen to the bass and the drums, and I'm trying to hear everything at the same time. But, you know,
It's impossible.
it can be impossible, but it gets better. You kind of just like see the field. You know, you can have some understanding of the overall sound too. You know, but.
Your priority to listen to the rest. In general, do you force yourself to listen to the rest multiple times?
I don't force myself as much as like I'm trying to be aware of where I am. It's a social situation playing music. You know, we just met, we're playing a tune, we both know the song, so we have a common topic, something we can both talk about, and it was fun conversation. That's the fun of playing. I can practice on a Misty night at home. It's not the same experience. It's not as fun as, so I need to do that at home to be able to focus on the conversation. And I like that. You know, I like the conversation part of music. But just like any social situation, you want to be aware of where you are. Who are you talking to? You know, and you want to be respectful. And if it's time to, okay, someone says, okay, what do you think? You know, because that's what, when you take a solo, it's like, here's what I think about this topic. So you want to present your ideas clearly, you know, and so listening is just part of, I'm not playing by myself, I'm playing with someone. I want to focus on them. At the same time, I want to make sure that what I'm playing isn't fucked up. You know, like I want to think, I have to focus on comping, and I was just got to do a thing where I was like playing 4/4. It felt like a good tempo to play 4/4. He was grooving, playing 8 notes, then doubling up. It's like, okay, I'll just keep, you know, break it up a little bit, but I'm making choices, but I'm kind of focused on the we, not just me. I have to focus on the we, and if we is like a quartet, quintet, it gets harder because there's more details to listen to. But that's the thing. You know what I was saying about you want to present your ideas, comping, soloing with clarity. There's also the thing about when I was talking about improvisation, which is there's some element of spontaneity. So that's the whole thing to me, is to balance those two things, clarity and spontaneity. You don't want to sacrifice spontaneity because you're saying, well, I'm playing the same solo that I played last night that I worked out to play. That's no spontaneity whatsoever. That's worked out. But it might be very clear because you worked it out and you have that kind of brain that you can work out your solo and then execute it. Okay, I admire that. I'll never remember. That's why I just stopped working stuff out, because I just I couldn't. When it came time to do it, I couldn't do it. I'm much better trying to be more in dealing with the spontaneous side of things. However, you can be spontaneous, which is no excuse for making no sense. Well, I was spontaneous. I was playing what I wanted, you know. Yeah, but you went to the bridge too early, or like there's certain things like we have to be, well, besides the social, that's almost like going to the bridge too early is like stepping on someone's foot, you know, if they're soloing or something like that, and you go to the bridge, you have to say, excuse me. He's like, I stepped on your foot, I'm sorry. Is your shoe okay? Let me, you know, like, that's, you know, there's certain social things about, you know, sometimes it happens. Sometimes you step on someone's foot, it's an accident. You didn't mean to do it, but you apologize, you know. Those are the social things in music. But with those social things, you're still dealing with, is what you're playing have the balance of clarity and spontaneity. Because if you sacrifice one for the other, then it's too much, it's too loose or too stiff. And the hard thing about anything is just finding the right balance between loose and stiff. That's what swinging is, playing with a good rhythmic feel. We don't want it to be too stiff, but it can't be too loose either. You know, we want it to be loose, but not falling apart, not dragging or rushing. We want it, you know. So there's all these little, you try to find these little spaces between the extremes, you know. Harmony. I like some dissonant, but not totally dissonant. Some, you know, like, it's personal. It's personal. You know, rhythm isn't so personal. Rhythm is supposed to be objective. You kind of think that here we are, we got to keep this time, you know, and that's a big thing about where your choices come from. I have to make what I'm playing feel good in this pulse. We started out in time, yeah, and it maybe came down a hair, whatever, but not really. I think it was pretty in there. It was nice, relaxed tempo. I didn't feel it slowing down or rushing when we were playing. Cool. We're not machines. We just have to, you know, feel it out, and that's the beauty of it, you know. You have to make it feel good. It's the we, you know.
Sir,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, I feel like that the musical journey, it's like a road that it's not linear, you know. Maybe you make a couple of miles, and then you realize that maybe you wanted to go somewhere else. And that's the musical journey. I mean, there's no place to get to. It's,
right.
You know, like the experience. But you started the masterclass speaking about sound. I've been concerned lately by this topic. I wanted to ask, you know, along the road, which have been the most important breakthroughs when thinking about sound, you know, and developing what you think.
Well, I mean, that's tricky. I mean, you just try to get, I've been playing the same instrument for more than 25 years, and so I know it's a familiar feeling. You know, some guitar players like to play different guitars, like, I'm going to take this one out tonight, or I'll take this one. This gig calls for, and I respect that too. But I always kind of play the same, I've been playing this guitar. So I feel it, I feel this guitar. The more you play it, it's an acoustic instrument, the wood dries out, the sound is opening up. But as the sound opens up, I'm also learning better how to play it, how to control it. So I felt little things along the way of, oh, that's a nice amp, or, yeah, my strings aren't too old, not too new, it's just right, or, you know, like sometimes it feels okay. Just one note feels okay. And that's a, I don't know about a breakthrough, but it's just like an encouragement. And it's almost like the more comfortable you feel with your instrument and more comfortable you feel in general playing music, like being secure, you know, is that, yeah, it can be, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you feel like, okay, there's still growth. I'm hearing more, I'm enjoying it more, I'm trying to relax more and don't fall into, I think I better do this, you know, but you're just trying to let the music flow. Get out of your own way by thinking, you know, as soon as you think you're having a breakthrough, it's all over. You know, as soon as, oh my God, I'm having a breakthrough. Well, you've just completely lost your concentration in the, but I don't know if you're talking about that like on stage, but it's all very incremental. It's all very small things. And it's just trying to just, I think the main thing is to get better at concentrating on playing and concentrating when you're playing and keeping thoughts that are like static. That are,
Noise.
well, I couldn't hear you, it's static. I'm not hearing because it's static. You're fucking with the channels and now you're trying to get all the, you know, you want to tune into, you know, just what you're playing and one note at a time. Go as slow or as fast as you need to go, but as soon as you're aware of like, wow, I'm playing really slow or I'm playing really fast, there's a self-consciousness and awareness, and I want to keep those things out. So I had a great conversation once with Tootie Heath, great drummer. We did a recording session and we took a long train ride back, and you know, he's a great, you know, he was a great talker, and I told him that I saw him play many times with his brother, Jimmy, many times, but only one time did I see them with Percy,
Yeah.
with his brother Percy, and he was like, you know, incredible bass player, really, you know, just kind of a, I guess, you know, I mean, early mid-40s, I guess late 40s, 50s, you know, that sound really defined the beat of just, you know, like grooving. Percy Heath, so those records with Percy Heath and Kenny Clark, the beat changed, like opened up, and it was like, you know. But anyway, he said something that Percy told him about grooving. He said, if you're playing and you hit a groove and it feels good, just enjoy it, because it's not going to last. Somebody's going to, all of a sudden, people are going to be aware of this. Oh, we're really grooving, and then somebody's going to fuck it up. You know, it's almost like this beautiful like parable of like human beings. You know, it goes back to like, you know, why we can't have nice things. You know, but it's just a beautiful thing of like that self-conscious. I mean, I took it as and took, you know, like I was like, that's really what he's saying is like once you're aware that something is anything, you're not in the moment. You're not really, you know, but just enjoy it while it's happening. And then once you enjoy it, but it's part of enjoying it becomes this awareness of it. And then it's already kind of on the way down. So that's kind of what grooving means, is just being committed to each moment and not evaluating the moment as like, oh, this is great, or this is terrible. You know, if it's terrible or something is wrong, to think about what can you do musically to fix it? How can we make, you know, there's a great quote that's been going around recently from Bill Frisell. He said, playing music with other people is not about competing, it's about rescuing each other. Have you heard that? Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
It's beautiful, because it's like, you know, well, hopefully, you know, people doesn't need complete rescuing, like, you know, oh man, I gotta jump in the water now too, like that's, you know, hopefully it's not that, you know, but it's like, but little small little things, little rest, it's like about, you know, where that's what it's supposed to be. And playing with people is that. If you see people playing together, and it's like everyone's just trying to survive on their own, then the music has a certain feeling. But if the people have this feeling of we're gonna join hands, I mean it's a cliche, but it is true, you know. And that's why music is important, man, because you know this is what the world is now. It's just like so many people out for themselves. Like I want this, you know, fuck everybody else, you know. Music is not that, you know. So that's why at some point in the human evolution, if it's long enough, maybe they will actually elevate music to the point of like it's one of the deepest things that humans can do together. You know? Not elevate music like, you know, we have pop stars and, you know, that. I mean, and we have award shows and stuff like that, or like The Voice, or, you know, whatever. I'm not talking about that, because we elevate music and it's a big deal. But just the idea of people playing together, you know, being famous is a big deal. But and getting famous doing anything is a big deal, and music is okay with that. But they're okay with music being that kind of thing. But I'm talking about playing with people is like, you know, it's a highest level of understanding, and you know, you have to have empathy, you have to play together, you know. And jazz is deep because, I mean, it's great to be in a choir or do anything, but in jazz it's not really like being in a choir. It's like you're in a choir, but everyone has to come out and take a solo too. It's about not just being part of the ensemble, community, you know, whatever. It's about stepping out and being an individual too. And jazz, we hold up individuals for being individual, you know. That's part of the thing. But a big thing about it is how an individual is helpful to the other individuals around them, and that's why music is such an important thing in the world. And jazz is it's a high level of you know, commitment to both those things, to being an egomaniac and also an egomaniac who lives in a society with other egomaniacs. And we're trying to all, because I mean, you have to be an egomaniac to say, I'm going to take a minute and a half of your time to watch me fiddle with this machine, you know. Yeah, it takes, you know, you got to have an ego for that. But you also have to, am I checking my ego for the greater good? You know, that's more rewarding to me than just like, hey, I did it. You know, there's that too. But
yeah.
Sorry.
I was wondering, what do you think are the most important things that you took from Jim Hall lessons back
Jim
in the
Hall?
day?
Well,
Yeah.
just those things I was talking about. Empathy. When I first played a tune with Jim Hall at New School, he had like a little class, and he had a bunch of guitar players, and he would do duets with everybody, or he would play a song, and he would kind of comp for everybody as they, you know. But when I got to play with him, I was like, damn, that's the best rhythm section I've ever played. I didn't feel like, oh, it's just a guitar, no bass, no drums. It was like, wow, that's, and he wasn't just like, I mean, he made everybody sound good, but in a way that he was also doing his shit. He wasn't holding back, and like he was, you know, but he just had a thing about when he comped, it was to support you. And so I never forgot the feeling, you know, so that was a huge thing. And he was also great, you know, putting things in my head about spontaneity, about really improvising. Well, typically, he wasn't a big teacher of like, you know, do these exercises and everybody, let's see how you do it, let's see how you do it. It wasn't like that, technical things. It was more just musical and how to play with people. And we would, you know, learning a song from him was great. You know, he would really be thorough about teaching the song.
So, thanks. First of all, thank you, Peter. It's such an honor having you here, hearing you talking, playing. Sorry for my English.
That's okay. No.
Thank you so much for us. I have a piano question.
Okay.
Two piano questions.
Okay.
What do you expect for a piano comping in a band context and in a duo context? And who is your favorite piano player of all time?
I don't have one favorite piano player of all time. I love many piano players, and I love the piano. It was my first instrument and everything. But I can't say I have any, you know, expectations or, yeah, about, I mean, if someone comps, obviously in a duo setting, then they're the rhythm section, you know, and that's a whole different kind of pianistically, just like it is for the guitar, if I'm comping with bass and drums as opposed to just, so you have different, and how they deal with that. But again, it just comes down to the touch on the instrument. It just comes down to how they, you know, piano is a huge, I mean, it's an orchestra. It's a mini orchestra, and I just, you know, it's like the guitar. That's an easy instrument. Everyone can play the piano. Just come up to it and sit down and play. Because the guitar too, if you have to get over the calluses, you can play, you know. But to really get a sound out of the guitar, really get a sound out of the piano is difficult. So it's funny that you know, whereas trumpet or clarinet, you know, that's going to weed out a lot of people in the first couple of weeks. Like this, forget this, you know. But that's, you know, with an instrument like that, you have to really be committed. And again, it all comes down to sound on those instruments too. But with piano, I just figure it's like how they wield their power. You know, that's how I feel. You know, because it's the most powerful instrument in a lot of ways. It's a percussion instrument, and it's also the harmonic. You know, where it all starts and ends harmonically. So, and they can wash you out, or they can be underneath you, and it's the best. I love piano, and some guys have different comping styles, and that's good. You know, all I ask when someone is comping for me is that they, you know, they listen sometimes, And sometimes they just don't listen or don't have to listen, but get in with the band. Listen to the drums and the bass. Like, I don't always think comping has to be going out and showing the soloist that you're listening. You know, I don't like piano players if you play something that's like, and the piano player has to go to show you that they heard what you did. You know, like, why not take that rhythm and, you know, we're all moving forward. The whole thing about like, I heard you, so I'm listening. It's not the same. So there's that, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I've been lucky to play with some great piano players, and everything about them is just the way they touch the instrument, you know. That's it. I mean, I got to hear so many of the great piano players, Hank Jones and Tommy Flanagan, Barry Harris so many times. I never got to hear Red Garland, but I got to hear Herbie, and, you know, he's still around. I got to hear McCoy. I got to hear great, you know, to hear people make that sound in front of you, you know. Dow, Sullivan Fortner, Gerald Clayton, all have incredible. I'll never feel like they're gonna. You know, I got to play with Harold Mabur, and he had a much more. But he was incredible calmer, you know, and always played for you. You know, he used to have a thing about, you know, like I'm trying to play with you. I'm trying to play for you, not just with you. And he would hear piano players like kind of comp too much, and they're trying to play with you, and you know, you play for somebody. But yeah.
Well, first of all, thanks for being here. I'm really glad to being able to see you.
Thanks, man.
My question was, music being like that long journey with no finish line. What's your advice for us musicians? Like to go through that journey and endure and like enjoy.
I mean, enjoying it is the key. You know, I remember Jim Hall used to say, like, you know, the reward for being a musician or playing jazz music is playing. That's the reward.
Yes.
You don't do it for a reward. That it is its own reward. That's not very realistic, you know, if you have to pay rent and buy food and stuff like that. You know, they're not just going to let you take it or live someplace for free because you're very rewarded by playing music, you know. There's realists, so I don't have advice for that except, you know, I mean, I've been lucky and you know, so you know, being lucky is part of it, but working hard at something, and I mean, like I said before, the guitar world and the music world is huge. You know, I'm looking at a very, you know, narrow area that I live in. You know, it's enough diversity for me. I remember, you know, when I was a young musician, I used to play with Lou Donaldson, and I got to play with Lee Konitz a couple times, and once I played with them both in the same week in different places, and they both played like a couple of the same songs, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, because the experience of playing, they were so different as human beings, you know, and as stylists, but they both came from Charlie Parker, were born 1 year apart, you know, very different upbringings, different parts of the country that they came from, but they came to New York. Charlie Parker was there, but they both went totally because of who they are, and that made me realize, like, it's not so much about what song you play, it's about, you know, being an individual and being a, you know, having an identity as a musician. And these are, you know, and these are two people that are part of my little, you know, heroes of my little jazz world. But to me, you know, how different they were and how different an experience. It's like, this is interesting. It's not always going to be the same thing, you know. But having said that, I haven't ventured out of playing, you know, jazz that much as other people like to play in different bands and stuff like that and do different kind of things. And the variety is, they need that kind of variety. They need that variety when they take a different guitar to a gig and it's a whole different thing. That's cool. That's cool. It takes all kinds. You know, I respect people that have that flexibility and diversity to be able to play in different bands, play in a Broadway show and then do it, you know, accompany a rock singer and then, you know, like some people can do that. I haven't been able. I had to work on my little shit exclusively, and luckily, you know, I can, although everything hangs on by a thread, I'm very lucky that I can do it. So, but I can't recommend that as like, that'll work. Because I don't, I mean, it's worked so far, but you said it yourself, enjoy it. If you keep enjoying it, and just enjoying having a relationship with an instrument that you learn how to touch in the better and better, more sensitive, nuanced way, and learn about the world of music. There's so many songs out there to learn. There's so many, so many things to check out and to get excited about. So that's the thing, is just to stay excited about music. And if you can stay excited about music and still make a living at music, that's a lucky thing, but it's difficult for sure. But yeah, what's that?
I was wondering, because your language is so personal, and I was wondering if is there some horn players or piano players that you think that are always present when you play? So,
Man,
like,
I was just thinking
inspiration.
today, I love trumpet people, man. I was just like, listening to some Miles, or people were posting some different versions of Funny Valentine with Miles, and I mean, Miles is it for me. But not just Miles, Freddie Hubbard, Clifford Brown, Kenny Dorham. I love Blue Mitchell. I love all these, like Donald Byrd. I love so many trumpet players, and just, Dizzy. I mean, there's so many people. Roy Eldridge, Louis Armstrong was the first. He was the alien that came down and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to play songs in a personal way, and I'm going to play the melody in my own way. I'm going to play little things harmonically to connect the melody, and that was, that's it. Everyone's been doing that ever since. And he taught the world how to swing and how to phrase, and so it all comes from Louis Armstrong. Miles said it, Clark Terry said it, so that's but trumpet, so many and then so many saxophone players too. Sonny Rollins, Bird, Coltrane, Hank Mobley, Joe Henderson, and yeah, piano guys too, because I play a harmonic instrument, so I'm trying to deal with that too. And I love Monk, I love Herbie, and I love
And do you have, like, when you transcribe or you learn a tune, some way or something to really incorporate, to really get the things that you want to get from that?
Well, I haven't done a lot of transcription, like where I write the whole solo out. When I did that, it was for school, and it was kind of like, okay, everyone has to write out a solo, like it was an assignment, But otherwise, I just take little things off records, and it would just be like, oh, what the hell is Sonny playing? What is that? How does he? So I would take little things like phrases. I would never really learn an entire solo, because I would just find one phrase and be like, well, try to work with the phrase. Like I see a lot of people, especially now with Instagram, playing along with records and stuff, and they have an extensive, and they're spending a lot of time. It takes a long time to learn Oscar Peterson solo, all this stuff, It's a lot of fucking notes, but the thing is, it's cool. This phrase, it's a language you want to, but you get Oscar. I mean, I'm not reducing Oscar Peterson, but you can get the feeling and get some things from Oscar Peterson by transcribing 16 fucking bars of Oscar Peterson. I mean, the point is what you do with the one phrase that you got from Oscar Peterson. Does that influence your language and your ability to play and get some of that? Okay, what does Oscar Peterson have? This velocity, force, just kind of a decorative thing. I mean, he played a lot of notes. It's virtuosic. It's highly decorative. It's highly dense. Okay, but you're not Oscar Peterson. You're not going to play only that way. So you try to get from Oscar Peterson, and you also learn from other people and get. But the point is that stealing from people and how they talk is supposed to influence you to talk better, to talk more better.
Yeah.
It influences you to talk like, hey, if I want to spin out some kind of phrase that is this kind of use of language, then I can do it, and it's in flow with me talking. It's not like, or you could just say, to quote so-and-so, you could, and it can be, just like in music, you can say, well, this part of the tune, I'm going to like quote Oscar Peterson, or and that can be okay, but it's got to be part of someone talking or listening to you. And so, solo after solo of Oscar Peterson and all these phrases, if it doesn't affect, just getting to the notes isn't the thing, it's the sound. Oscar Peterson got a sound out of the piano. Ask any piano player, like Oscar Peterson wasn't just like fast. He could actually, it's a touch involved. Same thing with Tatum. He came from Tatum. It's not just playing fast. Lots of lounge piano players can play a fast run. It's just like the sound. Monk, the sound. that he gets out of the instrument. So to me, transcribing people is absorbing a different way to attack the notes, and it's also finding actual, Monk plays some turnarounds. Like, what was that? Holy shit. If I just get that, it gets me reaching for other things, and now I'm trying to use it. We're all thieves, right? We're stealing, but just to steal someone and then play their stuff and think that that's the final step. No, you steal it, and then you have to incorporate it into your life. Otherwise, you're just amassing posts. This is another post. Okay, another 50 seconds of Oscar Peterson ripping. It's not doing anything for your feel, your sound, your ability to improvise language. It's time to, look at something else, because you want to be rounded, Now, having said that, I've never posted Oscar Peterson solos. I don't know how hard it is to, I know it's hard, but this is not what I want to spend my time doing. But I'm just saying, whatever your thing is, steal it. But, my generation, we used to steal stuff. That was for private. That was the laboratory. That's the secret stuff you work on. Like, yeah, I'm stealing this Kenny Dorham turnaround, man. Now, if I play it, a couple people who know Kenny Dorham are going to know where it came from. But the point, like I say, is to absorb it and to make it affect you. And I never would have tried to play this if I hadn't stolen this from that person. So that's the point of it. And amassing transcriptions and just doing it and doing it and doing it doesn't mean anything, unless you know how to use it. That's my opinion about transcription. Being a lazy MFer that I am. But the time that I did have to write out a solo, I did Charlie Christian's solo on Found a New Baby. Wrote out 32 bars, hard rhythmically, like some weird kind of rhythms and stuff. I don't even remember how it goes. Like weird stuff, and I learned this. I was like, oh shit, yeah, G7, Like it, so it affected my, it affected me. It got into me, And I haven't tried to play it in years, but it's still in my brain, and it affected me. That's pops, that's Lester Young, and like you start to see where the, how it's a language. People are talking like other people, but in their own way, Yeah.
Nice.
Anyone else? Anyone want to play something, or what do you think? Yeah. Anybody? Sure. Wow. Already a crowd favorite. I love it. Yeah, I don't want to press you, man. How you doing, Matt? Peter.
Pablo, Juan.
What's that?
Golo.
Golo.
For red one.
Oh. Red. Society Red. You know that one? Dexter card? Yeah, what do you want to play, man? What are you feeling?
I'm getting sentimental over you.
Ooh, yeah. Love it. What can you like to do that? Thank you, man. Beautiful. Yeah, what a great song that is, man. Tommy Dorsey's theme song. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, man. Wow. Yes, sir. Somebody else? How we doing? Yeah, okay. Come on, man. Yeah.
Estoy temblando.
Huh?
I'm sorry for my English. How do you say estoy temblando?
Shaking.
I'm shaking.
Shaking? That's your name? No.
1 pound.
1 pound. Okay. No, we don't have to say
It's a
anything,
dream.
man. That's the beautiful thing. In English, I mean, we're not in an English-speaking country. I'm the one that is language deficient. So the beautiful thing about music is, you know, like we don't even have to talk. Like he could have just said, I would have known what he wanted to play, and we could have got into the tempo. You know, he told me we played it out free. Then he said, that's the way of saying, let's play it at this tempo. So we don't have to speak. You know, if he just started playing, you know, start on the intro, then I said, oh yeah, I know that one. I'd be ready. You know, so no speaking. You know, it's not necessary. One day I want to teach a private lesson and not say a word, you know, or do one of these things. It'd be weird, if, you know, with like this, but like just not say a word. That's the highest level of musical communication, is not to need to speak, but say everything you want to say with what you play. You know, right? What is there to say? You know, it's just like we want to learn about how to communicate, you know, with this. Anyway, yeah.
A blues?
A blues. You got one? You got it, baby. It's good to play nervous, because when you play nervous, whatever makes you nervous, that's a good thing. I mean, if it's playing, I would be nervous like playing for my, my family. You know, that's I'm nervous. But I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm nervous all the time. But I mean, you have to learn to play nervous and learn to say, well, when I'm nervous, that's how I really play. It's real. It's also real how you play at home when you're comfortable and relaxed and everything's flowing great. But it's also like you have to play nervous sometimes too to see what is the difference in how it actually sounds when you're nervous and when you're not. You know what I mean? That's okay.
Yeah, shaking my hands. I don't play a melody.
Well, but I mean, it was your tune. So I was hoping, that's why I played it up the second time. I played it in the higher octave, so you would play it down low. I mean, it's cool. It's all right. But the thing about playing a tune like this, Charlie Parker, that's our rhythmic. That's a rhythmic etude. That's if you have to learn songs like that, and that's a great one because it's not like super. It's not a million notes like Confirmation. There's a lot of notes. Very difficult. I mean, technically difficult. This is not as technically difficult, but it's very important to play. I don't want to say simple ones, but the ones with less notes strong. Even playing, it's not that easy. It's not that you go. The whole point is to like really ingest and feel these kinds of rhythms are the rhythms we need to get in our blood. Because comping, it's about those rhythms. Like that's the comping language comes from Bird. It comes from Bird. I mean, that's Bird and Bud Powell. Those kind of that was the rhythm that the drummers took. Everybody that affected the whole. So this, as guitar players, this is very hard to play on string. This is not string music. You know, strings music is bluegrass. You know, like all that stuff. I mean, that's what was created by string players, banjo and guitar, and that's what strings do naturally. You know, picking, that kind of stuff. This is not the same thing. This is picking, obviously, but it's trying to absorb this rhythmic language. So that's the most important thing about playing it to, not just so you can play your F blues stuff, but try to absorb the language of these songs, and that's the thing, you know. And the thing about, like, is we started, you're excited, you kind of play, these tunes work anywhere. I mean, I think after a certain point they get too fast to sound. It sounds a little crazy fast, super fast, but they're funky. The slower you play them, the funkier they are, you know, in a way. Like, it's great to play them as slow as you can possibly do it. But where you started, and it also works there. So it works there. It's a little harder to play. If it's faster, obviously we got to get to more notes quicker. But the point is to keep that tempo. You know, I don't want to feel like you started a solo and you had to play your beautiful lines, nice eighth notes, but you wanted to slow it down just a little bit to get those eighth notes out. I get it, and we kind of settled into it, and then going out was a little slower. I'm not accurate, but I just, you know, so the way to not slow down isn't to try to, you know, drink more coffee or, you know, like, I got to set myself to a certain tempo. We're not machines. We have to feel the way the rhythms feel at that tempo. All tempos are right. As Monk said, all tempos is right. He said, you know, I mean, not all, but there's a range, you know. So, do 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 do. So he, do do do. That's how I keep that tempo, is by feeling that rhythm in that tempo, that rhythmic figure. The way to keep a tempo that's faster is a bit da ba da ba do da ba. Keep the tempo not by just winding myself up faster, but to feel and how that feels at that tempo. That's how I can keep, and I'm just stressing this because keeping time is really important. When you have 4 people on stage and they all have a different idea of where the pulse is, it's horrible. It's horrible, and that's why people don't like jazz, because if it's not grooving, it sounds horrible. Let's just be honest, you know. To hear, like, it's not rushing and, you know, it's got the tempo. And that's what, like Percy Heath's talking about. When you hit the groove, when everyone's feeling it, you have to enjoy that. You have to go for that and try to maintain. If you play for that as your priority, that is success. Everybody feeling the rhythm together and feeling accents. Not everything exactly ever has to come out the same, but we're feeling the pulse together because we're feeling what the rhythmic thing of the song. In order for something to groove, there's got to be some repetition. You can't just groove in a different spot every time. So that's why James Brown music grooves, because bass is all the parts, 2 guitars, horns, everything fits together to groove. But everyone's doing the same thing. That's, you know, with jazz, if you're going to be kind of freestyling it and playing different rhythms, it's got to come from a very solid place and an agreement on these rhythmic figures. And the tune gives it to you. You know, like that's how we keep the enthusiasm of that kind of tempo. Now it's a different kind of enthusiasm. It's more relaxed. It's hot, tired to go, you know. we practice all tempos so that we can really focus on feeling the figures. You have to get the rhythms in you. Otherwise, it's just like playing the tune, getting through the tune, and now I'm going to play my shit. You know, the point is to, which you play some beautiful, and I can hear you playing some lines and some nice tritones and all that stuff. It's great, man. It's great. Keep cooking.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not shaky. Not shaky at all, man. Not shaky. Anyway, how we doing? Anybody else have a question or comment, criticism? Yes, over here. I haven't taken.
We have a lot of great guitarists here.
Okay.
In general, but I wanted to know what is the most thing that you appreciate if you hear some guitar player.
Man, I mean, I mean, yeah, I appreciate what people can do. Like, I'm not looking like, well, a guitar player needs to do this, and okay, check that, and needs to do this, needs to do this. Like, I'm not checking off boxes from what I need to hear. I more or less just, what is there? Is what they're trying to do being achieved? Is it a thing? Is it like, okay, that person has an identity? You know, that's kind of all it is. To play with someone in a duo setting, if we're going to be playing standards, and yeah, okay, there's certain type of guitar players that might be better for that than others, but just like everything else, like there's certain, you know, I'm not the right person for many type of gigs. If I had to do the gig, I would do the best I can, but I understand that people have, based on like what we were talking about before, about what you focus on, what you work on, and there's many different roads you can take, of course, all the time, but when I hear someone play, I appreciate the diversity of humans, and like this person is doing this, and it's consistent. You know, if I hear like, okay, that's George Benson lick, and then they're trying to do this thing that they got from Joe Passon, if it's still, that could be still part of the development. But the point is, you know, you grow up and you synthesize the things you love, and they become hopefully something. If you're an improvising musician, you have to synthesize these things and have some kind of language or flow, and you hear other people. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about all these. Talk about an individual like Thelonious Monk. He didn't come out of nowhere. You hear Fats Waller, you hear Duke Ellington, you hear, you know, James P. Johnson, you hear some Tatum, you hear, you know, you hear the things that they came from. Everybody is a recipe, you know, an ingredient, you know, whatever it is. Pat Metheny is like, you know, Ornette Coleman, Keith Jarrett, and Milton Nascimento, and some Wes, and like, you know, like, okay, but you hear all these things, but when you hear you hear him, you hear how someone synthesizes their influences. Jackie McLean, Bird, and Dexter. That's kind of like you know, that's a recipe for Jack. You know, but people aren't recipes. They're, you know, they're people. So it's about how they, you know, do what they do. And so if I hear a guitar player, it's just like, you know, I love the fact that, you know, everyone that played is so different, and that's the beauty. I mean, all I can do is adapt and react to what I'm doing, but that's the fun of it. It's just like, it's a social thing. So you meet all kinds of people eventually, and that's the beauty of like, yeah, it's nice to travel. That's what, I wouldn't have met this person if I hadn't sat on a plane for 11 hours, and you know, now I'm here, and so and that's music too. This is it. This is the sound that you're dealing with, you know, and to take advantage of the moment. But to take advantage of the moment, it's also a process of self-study to like, you know, I know what I know, and I want to know more. But I want to know what I know also, and keep my mind open, you know. Yeah. Anyone else? I've been talking a lot. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. No.
I wanted to ask, you know, like your philosophy behind practicing. You know, planning it and thinking the objectives.
I mean, I practice because I really enjoy just playing the guitar, and I want to get to it every day, and you know, I know that I mean, sometimes I mean, when I practice, I basically play. You know, I might stop, I might work on an intro, or I might work on a way to play some tune solo, but it's always geared on something that you know, I'd like to try to do in front of people or something. Or it might just be like start playing a blues with my metronome on. A lot of times I'll practice with the metronome, but that keep me connected relating to something. Because otherwise, I'm just hoping that I'm not, that it's right. Now, right means to me playing with the metronome and using it to stretch see how how you can not get lost. If you get lost or turn the beat around, it tells you. Metronome is just a friend that tells you the truth. It doesn't care what you play. Actually, it's just like, you set me here, so I'm here. And if it's not grooving, it's not the metronome's fault. It's your fault. And if it's metronomic and stiff, it's also not the metronome's fault. People say, no, metronomes will make you stiff. I don't think that's possible. People are stiff or loose. Metronomes are just a fact. It's just, this is the distance between the beats. You have to make music out of that. So, but if I find myself playing and practicing and just kind of playing shit that I'm not really thinking, and not, like I say, my fingers are kind of not really listening to what I'm telling it to do, or I'm not telling it to do anything, I stop. I don't want to reinforce that. I say, I'm not concentrating. Okay, so let me play a different song, or maybe put it away or something, or just like do. I don't want to just. I'm not just practicing to put the time in. I want to, but I do find putting time in. That's when I figure out shit to play. Oh yeah, I could do that. Oh yeah. I should really practice more often because I figure shit out that, and all the thing you're trying to do is like find out what it is about what you play, find out what it is you like that you play, or I should say it like this, it's more like find out, I play this and I don't like that. What else can I do? I don't want to play that lick. That's not, my fingers go there, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to play that. So what else can I find that's better? So that's kind of what it is. You try to take what you play that you don't like and get it away, recycle it, never throw anything away, but you recycle, I can make this out of it instead of this, which is annoying me that I play. And then the things that you actually play that you do, that I would say dislike less, that I like a little more, do more of that. What's good, what do I like about that? What's good about that? That's, okay, the shape of that phrase, I like that shape. Okay, so let me take that shape in some other sounds and work with a shape. I like that, or there's a certain rhythm that I'm trying, okay, how do I take that rhythm through the entire tune? Or I'm trying to take what I play that I like and do more of that and flush away or recycle the stuff that I don't like. And just, that's it. If I could just play more of what I liked and less of what I don't like, I'll sound better. Play that sound. It's not that complicated. It's like, I hate when I do that. So stop doing it. But what are you trying to do when you do? Why are you doing it? What is it? But very basic shit about guitar, like just chords, the sound of chords. Like this might be my last rant. But like this chord, I hate. I don't like I like major 7 chord. In fact, I like this chord. That sounds good to me. 1, 5, 7, 3. For keeping score at home. 1, 5, 7, 3. Even better. Pretty cool. All right. Now it starts to sound. Hey, wait. This is where we all play this chord from B flat, and this is where it starts to sound bad. Oh, D major, the sweetest key and the sappiest voicing is horrible. That just sounds horrible. This, horrible. 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 Nice. Horrible. Nice. Okay, what's the problem? Well, this is too high. This sounds good because this 5th sounds good low. To my ears, it's a pleasing sound, right? So I get back to D. And I found this one day. Well, years ago I saw Gene Bernstein, great guitarist. He would play this for chords when he had to have the 3rd on top, right? Whatever. So you can't avoid having to put the 3rd on top of a major chord. But if you just default to what Mel Bay in his book taught us all to do 100 years ago, it's bad. It's just like my fingers are going there. That's something I didn't want to play. I never liked that chord, and I heard G. Oh, yes, it's softer. But I remember they said, don't double the 3rd. Okay, well, fuck them. They're not playing the guitar. When I double the 3rd, it sounds better than if I don't, than I play the 5th, because that's a weak 5th. Nice 5th. That's when my 12-year-old son says, hey, check out my muscle, Dad. And it's like, that's 5th is supposed to be strong, it sounds good, this, horrible. So D major, I found this chord one day. I should get in tune better. Demonstrate my point. My guitar's been in the winter for a long time now, so it doesn't know what the hell's going on. Sorry. Okay, too close enough. I like that chord. That sounds beautiful to me. All it is, only difference between this chord and this chord is that the fifth is now down here. It's the same notes, which I also prefer to this. I like that chord. It's got one less note. Oh, so more notes aren't always better? Nope, not if the other note is this. But if you take this note down here, you can do it like that. But it's crazy because you have an open string, so the open strings make a difference too, because that's ringing in a certain way, right? Besides being out of tune, damn it. But that's a nice chord. Now what is that chord? It's D major 7. So is this. Even has the same note on top. Horrible, beautiful. You know? So what's the difference? The difference is every note in the chord and where it is affects the other notes. It's like when you have a tank and you put some fish in there and one fish eats all the other fish. You know? That's a bad, oh, where's the, I only have one fish. Like, if you put this, here's 4 fish, all swimming around very happily, all doing their job to keep the tank, you know, clean and good, right? That's a beautiful sound to me because you have, well, now the fifth's in the root. Okay, so, it's not root position, but 5, 1, 7, 3. So what do you have? You have a 4th here, you have a 4th here, you have a 10th, another 10th, god damn it, can't tune it. But you have this too. Now that's the interval that gets cut off when you play this voicing. Mel Bay maybe didn't like this. It's like, I don't like that. So he's going to put this note in there to block that. But I like this. I like that. I like that dissonance. The dissonance is needed in a major 7th chord because it's too sweet otherwise. This adding a little bit of, you know. So that's the thing. A voicing is a recipe. It's like intervals. 4th, 4th, major 7, and then you have these 10ths. You got to hear the 10ths too. That's what it is. Great. Horrible. The guitar vibrates when I do this. I can feel it. It's like the guitar is happy. It's all the wood. When I do this, no, get out of here with that. You know what I mean? It's just like, so every sound, every chord that we learn, we have to decide if we like it or not. If we want to play that chord, you know. And if we don't, stop. Stop playing that chord, you know. But find something else. Now I can't play this. This is not so practical. You know, it's a, you know, I use my thumb, which I never really do. But the idea is that it's a nice intervallic. The notes in the chord are living in harmony. Each interval is building up the other one, as opposed to, which this is just destroying the rest of the sound. You know, so that's the thing. It's like looking at what are we taught as guitarists? We just do, and I know that, I know it, but you have to go back and see if you like it. Do you want to play that, or are you just playing it because it's what the book told you to play? So this is personal stuff, but. This is what I learned being around Jim Hall, to answer your question. Man, that dude thought about everything. Every sound that he makes seems like that's what he wants to play, or took some thought to get there. Now, if you try all the other voicings and decide that you like this chord, go ahead, play it. Play Days of Wine and Roses in all keys. But the point is, like, you know, it's a choice. You have the choice, you know. There's a great story that Jim told once about projecting, or he was talking about projecting when you play, like making sure that your sound is trying to go out. Because we play guitar, we get into this bubble. But it's all about the choices that you make. You know, he said, I had this guy as a student, you know, and came over for a lesson. He was playing this beautiful worked out solo arrangement, and then he got to one part of the song, and he kind of hesitated and just went, like, for example, he played a chord that was really, or he just played like some dumb chord, and then Jim stopped him and said, wow, everything you're playing before that was so great. Is that really the best choice, is that really what you wanted to play right there? You know, like, is that really, that's your final, are you okay with that? Because you obviously were thinking very carefully about all the other stuff you played, because it was more, and you played it with more conviction. He also said, you know, like, you play it like you know it's cool. Other stuff that's that you shy away from. And I don't know what else to play there. So I'm just, no, there's always another choice. There's always like something you can, and that's the beauty of this thing, is trying to tinker with it and figure out what you want to play. You know, tinker around until you have what you like, as opposed to what you don't like. You know. Anyway, any other questions? Anybody else want to? We're out of time.
Yeah, we should finish.
We have a long day, man. Okay, let's do it.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you guys.